Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give us a call if you guys are looking to improve your credit score, lower your car payment, buy a car, trade in a car. If you're looking to purchase your first home, if you're looking to purchase a rental property, we can help you. Give us a call today, 877-205-7771. Talk to you guys soon, and thanks again. Hello everyone, this is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit Consultation. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today we're going to talk about what to do right after a repossession. I'm talking about the right-of-way steps that you need to do immediately after having a repossession, okay? So, number one, do not panic. It's not the end of the world. There are some legal ramifications that most definitely can take place, but the very thing that you need to be focused on is deciding if you want to get another car or not, okay? A lot of times people don't lose their cars because of financial situations. A lot of times, they're tired of putting, a certain amount of work. And I'm not saying that that it makes sense to have that type of repossession where your car gets taken away because you simply do not want to keep putting money into a vehicle that needs more repairs, and you're making the repairs as well as making the monthly payments. I'm not saying that it makes sense to do that by any means. What I am saying is that if you've already made that decision, clearly it's too late for us to backtrack, and instead of me trying to beat you up about it, let's just go ahead and come up with a game plan. So number one is don't panic. It's not the end of the world, but there are some legal ramifications that you need to be well aware of, okay? And some of those legal ramifications are, number one, you can be taken to court because technically, here's the problem. A lot of people don't understand how a repossession process works. So for example, when you purchase the vehicle from the dealership or wherever you got it from, the bank, the people that you're paying every single month, your lender, they've already paid the dealership. So now the dealership is done, okay? Now you have a relationship, an obligation to pay the actual lender that paid the dealership, okay? Because the dealership's done. Now, if you say, hey, come pick up my car, that's another thing. A voluntary repossession and an involuntary repossession is the exact same thing. I'm sorry, it's not the same thing, but the result is going to be the same on your credit report. They're just going to change, it's just going to be in the remarks section, whether it was voluntary or involuntary. As a matter of fact, if it's involuntary, they don't even put the remarks there. It just says repossession. But at the same time, if it's voluntary, they put that there. But again, banks don't care about what a remark says, okay? As far as the impact on your credit report, it's going to be the exact same whether you give it back or whether they take it. Giving it back does not mean it is not a repossession. That just means you made the process easier. They still sometimes have to go, have a tow truck come pick it up. Again, banks are not in the business of keeping, items. They're not in the business of keeping assets. Even though it's a car, it's a depreciating asset. They're not in the business of keeping, a home or keeping, in this case, a car, okay? So what are they going to do? They're going to sell that car to the auction. Once they sell that car to the auction, let's say I'll give you guys real basic numbers. Let's say that you owe $10,000 on a vehicle, and of course they come and pick it up, you drop it off, whatever the case is, okay? Because again, the impact is going to be the exact same on your credit report. The good news is you get about 30 to 45 days before it shows up on your credit report. Watch where I'm going. So let's say that happens, okay? If that happens, now let's say you owe $10,000. They pick up the car. Now they sell it at the auction. Let's say that they sell it at the auction. Let's say that they get, I'm going to use not half because again, no, I don't want to confuse people. Let's say that they get $6,000 for it at the auction. How much do you owe the lender? That's 10, your original balance, minus 6, what they got for it at the auction. And probably they had to pay for, a tow truck, maybe a title transfer. They're going to have you pay the fees because again, this isn't their fault. So let's just say that they tack on another let's say another $500. So now it's $5,500. Now you owe them $5,500 minus 10, which is $4,500. That's what's going to show up on your credit report 30 to 45 days from the day that they take it. Okay, because that's when the repossession process is going to start. Legally, this is what makes the process easier. If you do a voluntary repossession, it'll make the process go a lot faster. If you do an involuntary repossession, then by law, they don't have to charge it off or show that it's a repossession on your credit report until after 180 days of being consecutively late. So 6 months of consecutive late payments, then they must charge it off. It is, of course, it's against the law to have an account where it's been consecutive, not late payments, missed payments. A late payment is the payment's due on the 10th and you pay on the 15th. That's a late payment. You could be late as many times as you and your credit score decide to be late, okay? But again, your score will be affected dramatically. Of course, it'll go down. So, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about missed payments. So the payments due in February, you don't pay it. March, you don't pay it. Of course, April comes, you don't pay it. Now, usually between March and April, if you don't pay it, by that time they're looking for the car. Okay, but now looking for the car is a separate process than what actually goes on when you're on your credit report. After 6 missed payments, okay, then they must charge off the account, which means that now they're going to put it on there as repossession regardless of what happens at this point, because legally they must charge off the account after 6 months. A lot of people don't know that, okay, and so either way, once that happens, now let's just speed this process up. If you want the process to go a lot faster, where they can just pick up the car or you drop it off to wherever they want you to drop it off at, but 9 times out of 10 it's better if you schedule it. They come and pick up the car. They're going to take it to the auction. Again, you save yourself that 6 late payments for no reason. I've had clients where they had to, they parked the car around the corner. The tow truck man found it, and since they made the tow truck look for the car, they of course they put a late payment on that person's credit report for 6 months. So they killed the credit score. Now, let me ask you guys this question: what hurts your score more, a repossession, okay, or 6 late payments? You'd be surprised. It is the 6 late payments. Why is that? 35% of your credit score comes from payment history alone. So whether you're late on a $10 credit card payment or you're late on a $400 car note, it's going to impact you the exact same way. A repossession is going to be a one-time hit. Okay, I would rather lose that one-time 20, 25, maybe 30-point hit, right? Instead of getting a 15 to 20-point hit every single time I'm late. So if you're going to do a repossession, assuming that you haven't done it yet, then it's best that you do a voluntary repossession. Just call them up, make the process easier. Now, legally, they don't have to keep from reporting the late payments, because again, you still have that obligation, and of course you're not paying on the car, especially if you don't have it, so it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense, but you cannot expect them to speed the process up, although most times they do, especially if you were nice enough to go ahead and give them a call. But on your credit report, again, our job is to try to keep at the least amount of late payments on there as possible. Okay, so that's number one. Don't panic, but understand your legal standpoint. Okay, so going back to that example, hope I didn't lose you. So you owe $4,500. You are legally liable for that $4,500. Okay, most states go up to 10 years. In Illinois, it's 10 years. You are legally liable for that debt 10 years after the last payment date. Or they usually have about the account close date, which is usually a few months in between that time. So again, but for the most part, it's going to be 10 years. Now you probably, well, Calvin, what's that have to do with me? Well, just because it's not on your credit report 7 years from now does not mean that you're not legally responsible for it. A lot of people give legal advice on YouTube, but no one's a damn attorney. So, but at the same time, again, you can look this up for your own state, okay? So, but again, in Illinois, it's 10 years that you're legally liable for debts, not just in repossession, all type of debts, okay? So that's number one. Don't panic, but understand your legal situation. Your legal standpoint from where you are, and you most definitely do have to pay them that money. Now, whether they ask you for that money or not, whether they call you, because a lot of times what I see with a lot of my clients, they have open repossessions, they have open balances, of course, with the repossession, but they're not getting any phone calls from the banks. Here's my recommendation, okay? Don't bother them. If you don't owe them money, why are you disputing it? You know you owe that money. They can easily take you to court. But don't worry, I'm going to do a video on what happens when you don't pay your collections. I see a lot of videos popping up where they're talking about don't pay your collections. It seems to me everyone that does a video on don't pay your collections, they don't own any real estate. So again, that's a whole nother video, because I got a lot of information to share there, okay? So number two, decide if you want a car right away, because if you do, you need to move quick. okay? A lot of times when people do repossessions, it's simply because they say, man, I can't afford to, pay the car note and keep getting this car fixed, because a lot of times the interest rate is high. Majority of the payment goes towards interest. So now you're upside down, and now you're getting, you're trying to get the car fixed, and you got the car note. That's a lot of stuff that's going on. Again, I'm not saying that that's a reason to do a repossession, but in most cases, that's what I normally hear. People say, man, I know the engine went out, or trans went out, or rarely do people say I couldn't afford it, but a lot of times, most of the time, it's repairs, so, and again, if they've already made the decision to repossession, we need to move fast. What you need to do is find the dealership actually go to the website, creditacceptance.com. Now, there are also other lenders as well that will give you another auto loan. But Credit Acceptance does not care if you have a repossession, if they took the car yesterday, if they took the car 3 years ago. They do not care. Okay. Now, a traditional bank, like the banks that you can drive by, or Capital One or whatever, a traditional bank, they know what you're trying to do. Because guess what they're going to do? They're going to tell you that you must trade in your open auto loan. Okay. What's an open auto loan? An open auto loan is any auto loan that you have where, and of course they want you to trade that in where you're still making payments on. Again, that's the car that just got repossessed, but again, it's not on your credit report yet. So that's why they want you to trade it in. Well, number one, they want to make sure that you can handle, they want you to handle one car payment, not two car payments, because the only time a person can really handle two car payments when in a slightly different income bracket, 70,000, 80,000, no, every bank is different, every lender is different. But again, when you start getting higher income, they'll be okay with you having two cars in your name. But it's extremely rare, or your credit has to be damn near stellar, okay? So, but now that we're kind of going into that, you have to understand that that's the first reason. So the second reason is going to be because they want to make sure that you're not going to be trying to keep one car and then not have the other one. Like you're preparing for a repossession. They know that already, okay? That's where Credit Acceptance comes in. Most of the time, people are late on one car payment. Wow, it would be crazy for you to trust somebody to pay two car payments, right? So again, a lot of people don't know that, but Credit Acceptance, they're going to be one of the best banks for you to go with, okay? So number two, decide quickly if you're going to go with another vehicle or not, because you only got a 30 to 45 day window to do so, okay? You gotta move quick, okay? But either way, that's pretty much what you need to do. So number one, again, just relax. You understand that, your legal situation, where you stand. You will, again, you're legally liable. That doesn't mean that they're going to want the money. A lot of times, companies will write that amount off. I have plenty of clients where around tax time, they'll get a letter in the mail saying that the lender, the previous lender where they had the repossession from, they say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. And well, they'll just write it off. But again, you have to add that as income on your taxes. But again, who would want to do that? And you're not legally responsible for it, okay? I had one of my clients, they just got a pre-approved for a home, and of course one of those things popped back up, but long story short, they wrote it off. So there are some times where they will write it off, okay? So, and then number two, if you want to try to get a car, man, you better move real quick, okay? And then of course, also number three, wait for the phone calls. It's coming. The phone calls, the letters in the mail. They're going to start saying, hey, listen, we need you to pay this money, whatever. And again, you're legally liable for it. Don't try to get around it. Now, what you can do, if you don't want to, you can ignore the phone calls, things of that sort, but understand that they have the legal right to take you to court. Do most companies do? Some do, some don't. Okay? Again, some do. Most don't though, okay? But again, that's between you, your decision, you and your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you got, and say, listen, you know what? This is what I want to do. But at the same time, do companies most of the time just forget about it? Absolutely. Because they've already written that off. They sold it to a collection company. That doesn't mean that you're not responsible for it or that you don't have to pay it back. But again, if they want to take you to court, they most definitely can. But if you need to get a car, it's going to be a lot easier to get a car right before the repossession hits your credit report than it does when you're trying to get a car and it's on your credit report and it's a fresh repossession, okay? Now, you'll still get approved from companies like Credit Acceptance, okay? But at the same time, they're going to want more money down. See, before the repossession, they don't know what the situation is because that car could be for someone else, right? But at the same time, after the repossession, they know you need a car and you just got a history of not paying someone else. So hopefully this video is helpful. If you guys like it, like it. If you want to share it, share it. And of course, if you want to subscribe, be sure to subscribe. I got a lot more great videos on the way. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys at the next video. Have a good day.